Picture this: a decorated combat sergeant, dripping wet and humiliated in front of dozens of recruits, pinned against a sink by a colonel twice her size. The room is dead silent. Everyone expects her to break. Instead, in one lightning-fast move, she flips the script and pins him against the wall. A phone camera captures it all. Within hours, the footage goes viral. Millions watch. The Pentagon is forced to act, and what began as one woman's stand against a bully becomes a reckoning that shakes the entire United States military to its core. This is the true story of Sergeant Emily Carter, the woman who stood up when everyone else looked away. And what happened next changed everything. Dawn breaks cold over Fort Ashford, Virginia. Thick fog rolls across the parade ground like a living thing, swallowing buildings whole and muting every sound. In the grey half-light, rows of soldiers stand frozen at attention, their breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. Among them stands Sergeant Emily Carter. At first glance, she looks like any other soldier, uniform crisp, boots polished, eyes forward. But look closer. There's something different about her. The way she holds herself. Stone still, yes, but not rigid with fear like the recruits around her. She's been carved by war, for tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, shaped by firefights and split-second decisions where hesitation meant death. The silence shatters. Footsteps, sharp, deliberate, echoing through the fog like a drumbeat. Colonel Victor Kaine. He moves down the line slowly, savoring every second. His reputation precedes him, the kind of officer who believes breaking people is the fastest way to build soldiers. Fear is his favorite weapon, and humiliation is how he loads it. He stops in front of a young private whose hands tremble ever so slightly. The kid can't be more than 19. Kaine leans in close, his voice dripping with mockery. You think the enemy's gonna wait while you shake like a leaf, Private? You think they care about your feelings? The private stammers. No, sir. Louder. No, sir. Kaine's smile is cruel. He moves on, satisfied, his boots kicking against the pavement until they stop right in front of Sergeant Carter. He circles her like a predator. His eyes narrow as they scan her chest, a rows of ribbons, the combat badges, the proof of valor earned in blood and dust halfway around the world. He flicks one with his finger. Nice decorations, Sergeant. Look real pretty. His voice rises so everyone can hear. But ribbons don't make you a warrior. Half of these are probably participation trophies. Silence. Carter doesn't move, doesn't blink. Her eyes remain fixed straight ahead. Kaine leans closer, his breath hot against her air. You think because you wore a uniform in some desert that you understand what real soldiers go through. Women like you. You don't belong in the heart of combat. You're a distraction, a liability. Still, Carter says nothing. Her jaw is tight, but her posture never wavers. The insult slides off her like rain of armor. Kaine's frustration builds. He wanted erection tears, anger, anything. Instead, he gets silence. And that silence somehow feels like defiance. He steps back, his voice sharp as a whip. Dismissed. The formation breaks. Soldiers scatter. But the tension lingers in the fog like smoke after a fire. That night, alone in her quarters, Carter sits on the edge of her bunk. The base is quiet now, but her mind is loud. Afghanistan. Operation Iron Dawn. The memory never leaves her. It was 3 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. Her unit had been on patrol in the mountains, near a small village when intel came. The insurgents were closing in fast. The order over the radio was clear. Pull back. Leave the civilians. Get out. Carter looked at the villagers huddled in the dust. About 30 of them. Mothers clutching children. Old men too weak to run. And she knew if her unit left, those people would die. She made a choice. Without a word, she signaled to a handful of soldiers who trusted her. They stayed. The firefight came fast and brutal. AK-47s cracked through the valley. Dust exploded with every burst. The air stirred with smoke and heat. Carter crouched behind a crumbling stone wall, gripping the radio. Her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Hawkeye 2. This is Ground 06. Fire mission. Coordinates follow. Above, the low growl of an A-10 Thunderbolt rumbled across the sky. Seconds later, its 30mm cannon roared to life, a sound like the world tearing apart. Precision fire ripped into the advancing enemy, buying precious seconds. Carter called in strike after strike. Her team moving in perfect sync, covering fire, pulling civilians into cover, guiding them toward the extraction point. But war always demands payment. By the time the last child was lifted into the transport truck, 7 American soldiers lay dead. Carter carried a boy in her arms, no older than 5, his face streaked with tears. Her uniform was caked in dust and blood, some hers, most not. Relief and grief warred in her chest. They saved 30 lives that day. But when Carter filed her report, telling the truth that they had disobeyed orders but saved innocent people, it was rewritten, reshaped. The heroism was stripped away, leaving only one word: insubordination. From that day forward, a shadow followed her, a stain on her record, a mark that men like Colonel Kaine saw as weakness. But Carter knew the truth, and she would do it again in a heartbeat. The next morning, the recruits are thrown into a simulated combat exercise. The training ground at Fort Ashford is built like a miniature war-zone: plywood buildings, narrow alleys, mock doors leading to rooms that must be cleared one by one. Sergeant Carter leads her squad with calm precision. Hand signals, controlled movements. She's done this 1,000 times in real combat, and it shows. They advance through the maze, stacking at corners, breaching doors, clearing rooms. Carter's squad moves like a machine. Then they reach the edge of the mock town. Carter drops to a crouch behind cover and studies the terrain ahead. It's a wide open kill zone, a bottleneck with elevated firing positions on 3 sides. Anyone who charges through will be cut down in seconds. Even in simulation, it's suicide. She keys her radio. Command, this is Ground 1 Actual. Request permission to flank east. Southwest approach is a fatal funnel. The reply is immediate, cold, denied. Proceed forward, Sergeant. It's Kaine's voice. Carter's jaw tightens. She looks back at her recruits' young faces full of trust. They're waiting for her order. She has 2 choices: obey and watch them get slaughtered, or defy orders again. She makes her choice. Move as ordered, she tells them quietly. They surge into the open, and the result is instant. Blank rounds crack from every angle. Sensors on the recruits' gear light up red. One by one, they go down. The exercise ends in total failure. Colonel Kaine descends from the observation tower, his face twisted in satisfaction. He gathers the exhausted recruits around him. This, he shouts, is why we follow orders. Creativity gets soldiers killed. His eyes lock on Carter. The message is clear, but every recruit watching knows the truth. They were set up to fail. That evening, the mess hall buzzes with the usual noise, trays clattering. Soldiers unwinding after a brutal day. Then the doors swing open. Colonel Kaine enters. The room falls silent instantly. He walks straight toward Carter's table, a folder in his hand. He slams it down in front of her and begins to speak loud enough for everyone to hear. He twists Operation Iron Dawn into a story of betrayal. He paints her as the officer who abandoned her men, who got soldiers killed with her recklessness, who disgraced the uniform. Every word is a knife. Carter sits in silence, her posture unshaken, her eyes forward. She refuses to give him what he wants, and that only makes him angrier. Stand up when I'm talking to you, Kaine roars. Carter rises slowly, calmly. She prepares to leave. That's when Kaine snaps. He grabs her by the collar and drags her toward the restrooms. Chairs scrape. Soldiers freeze. No one moves to stop him, except for one. At the back of the room, Private Daniel Ortiz slips his phone from his pocket. His hands shake, but he knows this has to be recorded. He presses the red button. Inside the restroom, harsh fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The air is cold, sterile. A crowd of recruits presses into the doorway, frozen in shock. Carter stands at the sink, hair dripping, collar soaked. Kaine looms over her, his breathing heavy, his face red with rage. You think you're special? He hisses. You think you're better than the system? Carter's voice is quiet but steady. I think the system failed those civilians, and I'd make the same choice again. Kaine's hand shoots out, grabbing her shoulder, trying to force her down. That's when everything changes. In one fluid motion, Carter shifts her weight. She breaks his grip, pivots with the precision of someone trained in army combatives, and drives her forearm across his chest. Before Kaine can react, she has him pinned against the wall, her other hand locking a pressure point that immobilizes his arm without causing injury. Gasps ripple through the room. The recruits stare in disbelief. The impossible has just happened. The colonel, the man they feared, is helpless. Carter's voice cuts through the silence like a blade. I disobeyed orders to save lives. If that makes me unfit, so be it. She releases him and steps back. In the doorway, Private Ortiz's phone captures every second. That night, Ortiz sends the video to a friend with one request: keep it quiet. But within hours, it's everywhere. Military group chats, Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. By dawn, the video has millions of views. People watch a female sergeant half Kaine size, soaked and humiliated, yet standing tall. They watch her neutralize him with control and precision. They watch her speak truth to power. The internet explodes. Veterans praise her restraint. Activists call her a hero. News outlets run the footage on repeat. Talk shows debate it. Everyone has an opinion. But one thing is undeniable. The moment has exposed something rotten at the heart of Fort Ashford, and the nation is watching. Captain Rachel Moore finds Carter alone in the barracks that night, still in her damp uniform. Why did you request a transfer here? Moore asks quietly. You knew what Kaine was like. Carter reaches under her bunk and pulls out a worn folder. Inside are medical reports, witness statements, and pages of testimony from soldiers who had long since left the base. I've been gathering evidence for months, Carter says. 12 suicide attempts under Kaine's command. Several didn't survive. I needed to be here to confirm it firsthand. Moore stares, stunned. The video wasn't part of the plan, Carter admits. But maybe it's the break we needed. Within days, the Pentagon launches an investigation. Carter, Moore, and families of affected soldiers are summoned to testify before Congress. The hearings are raw, painful. Families hold photographs of sons and daughters who never came home. Veterans recount humiliation and abuse. Medical experts present data linking Kaine's command to a mental health crisis. Kaine himself appears rigid, unrepentant at first, but when confronted with the faces of grieving parents, his words falter. By the end of the week, Congress recommends sweeping reforms, independent oversight, expanded mental health protocols, protections for whistleblowers. The system is changing. Months later, Carter kneels at Arlington National Cemetery. She places stones on 7 graves, the soldiers who died in Operation Iron Dawn. Because of you, she whispers, change has come. General Olivia Hayes appears beside her. Congress approved the reforms. They're calling it the Iron Dawn Protocol. Days later, Carter receives the Soldier's Medal. The applause is respectful, sincere. Hayes hands her a new assignment. Instructor at Officer Candidate School. Teach them, Hayes says, that integrity matters more than fear. When Carter returns to Fort Ashford one last time, she sees a plaque near the training field. Integrity above rank. Recruits train under instructors who demand excellence, but with respect. Carter walks away, knowing the fight was worth it. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to Silent Warriors, where we share the untold stories of courage that changed the world. Because sometimes one person standing up is all it takes.